So there's a pretty common dynamic amongst, I was going to say spiritual people, but a certain type of people where, we're very caring and wanting to help others. So, it can be people who don't identify themselves as spiritual who, could say that, have this pattern of, being very kind, caring, empathetic, and we go out of our way to help others who are struggling in one way or another. It might be through service, jobs in service, like teaching, nursing, aged care, so on, disabilities, working in disabilities, parents helping their children, helping others who with mental health issues, just helping. And then quite often our energies are misplaced, and it's an incredibly common pattern where it's misplaced, where we're trying to help the people who, really, A, they don't want to be helped, and B, even if they pretend like they want to be helped, but then they don't, take the steps to do anything about, changing their world. So, there's this pattern in the person who wants to help that, we feel kind of responsible. And so because they're not stepping up in consciousness, or, things aren't improving for them, we try a bit harder, and, we end up feeling quite responsible for others. So don't need to go into explaining that too much more. I think that's pretty self-evident. And if you recognize that in yourself, then this is for you, and it's more than likely you do recognize this pattern in one way or another. And it's also very common, we form a codependent relationship, usually often with a narcissist as well. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I've been in the pattern of, falling for narcissists in one way or another, romantic, friendship, work situations, again and again and again. Oh, pussycats everywhere. So I recently came to a certain awareness within my family that, one of my family members is definitely a narcissist. And I knew it all along and everything. I could see how, the world was revolving around this person, and from their perception, that is. But, and the thing is, because I had that pattern of wanting to help, and, so do a couple of my siblings of wanting to help, sort of gone out of our way to try and help through this. And then I've seen it all, it's just because I've actually seen the impact that this has had on another close relative. And I'm really suddenly it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh my God, this is narcissistic personality disorder, and I know it inside and out, and there's no helping someone who is in that patterning, and my response was totally different to what it usually is. Normally there's this compassionate sort of almost a pull that goes out to them, wanting to help, or, feeling somehow responsible, or feeling hurt or angry or anything, And this time it's just kind of like, well, okay, that's the end of that chapter. I'm cutting ties, and I'm not interested in any kind of connection any further. I want to put my energy into helping the person, the relative who does want to be helped, and then I translated this to a wider worldview, which is, there's people on the world stage who, are clearly narcissists also, and want all the attention on them, but really, they're not doing anything for anyone else. It's just all about getting attention. That's all it is, and having other people validate their worldview. And, we can't do this. Something's just come over me where it's just like, I can't do that anymore. I can't play the role of validating someone else's worldview to stop them from getting angry or to stop them from doing dreadful things, So in the case of big world leaders who are clearly narcissists, like the people who want to stand up and challenge that, there's just like this straight up threat of like, I'll destroy you. I will destroy you in whatever way I can within the boundaries in which the culture I live is, and using the justice system, using police, using army, like whatever, brute force, killing, doesn't matter. Like, they just go out of their way to destroy. And it's kind of like, enough. I've had enough of it. I'm not prepared to put my attention on beings who play this out, no matter whether they're a friend, a family member, or a world, some kind of public figure. It's just like, I just won't bother anymore. And it's got nothing to do with not loving the being that's behind that facade. It's just like there's no respect for the overlay that that they're living in, the illusion they're living in. And I can see how it's really something that's important for if you recognize this in yourself, if I can just point out that, in giving that attention to those who are just sucking the life out of you and sucking the life out of everyone else, it's doing no service to the raising of the planet. It's doing no service to the raising of your own consciousness, but the raising of the planet. What will happen is that by cutting beings like this off, the people who are in this very self-centered and self-serving frame of mind, is that eventually the consciousness will raise so much, the collective consciousness, that these beings, their consciousness cannot be sustained on the planet. So they'll just be spun off the planet, and they'll have to go somewhere, a planet that has a consciousness that can support, the density of their fallen consciousness. Or, and this is always, the possibility, or they'll just sort of feel everything going upwards, and they've got a choice. You've got a choice. Go with the flow, which is the upward flow, the river of life, which is taking us upwards on the path. There is nothing on earth that can stop the river of life, like ascension is the way for everyone, no matter how you want to play the game. It's just what's going to happen. This whole sphere will ascend, it's a given. So, the people who are there with that choice, do I want to hang on to this fallen consciousness and keep deluding, following this deluded path and looking for validation for, what a great person I am and how, nothing I've done should ever be questioned and so on? Or they can actually just take that first step and start looking at themselves. And, it's not up to anyone else to do that for them. It's not up to anyone. Like, the thing is, the opportunity's there, and the same way we have developed ourselves, they've got the same opportunities. So they can hop into the river of life and start moving onwards and upwards too. So, there's two options there. Move on, move up, or move out, one or the other. So from all of this, from a personal perspective, I'm realizing that, a part of me was slightly questioning myself with this really hard stand because, I've never been like that before. But obviously I've resolved the psychology that was sort of holding me back in that way. I'll just call it like a codependent sort of psychology. So that's gone. It's gone. And so when I took a stand, you know, and explained this to a couple of my siblings, I think it actually quite shocked them, and I think I was a little bit affected by that, and I just slightly questioned myself, but not much. I just sort of thought, no, I know this is coming from my higher self, but and this is where I just had the little caveat in there. I said, but I will look, you know, I am prepared to look and just check and see if this is another type of psychology coming in, you know, like, and getting involved here. So I was prepared to sort of, you know, question myself, even though I sort of wasn't. And then a friend of mine, two friends of mine, Summer and Kim, Summer invited Kim for an interview, and they basically started talking about this, and I will post a link for it below. But it was really, really interesting where, you know, when Summer became aware that, you know, that, and she's becoming aware about this, for a while, that she was falling into a pattern of playing a role of, you know, being a good parent, and too much attention was being used up on her child, and she's realizing, you know, it's, you know, what Kim was saying is, you know, to be able to step back and be your truly authentic self, that's what's going to help people, you know, by being who you are, who you really, really are, not what other people want you to be. That is what's going to help raise people, and that's going to do a greater service for other people than, you know, relenting and kind of like, you know, just falling back into the, oh yeah, okay, maybe I'm wrong, you know, maybe I shouldn't feel this way, maybe it's, you know, not loving to sort of, you know, be really hardcore and cutting people out even if they're a family member, like, you know, all that sort of stuff. We do more service by being truly authentic, you know, by being fully true to ourselves. And that's one thing, you know, my father taught me was, you know, that integrity, you know, just being really true to yourself is the most important thing in life. And I'm beginning to see it, you know, like, even though it feels like it's not right or it's not good or acceptable by standards, all kinds of standards, it doesn't matter, because, you know, the real self, expressing the real self, that's the most important thing, and it's not going to please everyone. And it's not going to be, you know, normal by societal standards. It's going to shock people. But that's the way it is, hey? I think, you know, it's like, you know, just being radically authentic is the way I could describe it. So, yeah, I won't waffle on too much more, but it's just sort of, you know, I'm in this like little aha, you know, just this awakening moment. A little bit more is coming through. I'm understanding a little bit more. So if you want to get a little bit more of a gist for what I'm talking about, then I'd encourage you to have a look at the interview below if you haven't seen it already. Okay, see you guys.